Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today we'll be discussing the latest news on Opentoonz. So, in my last news release video, I was talking about trying to get a help menu into Opentoonz, something that operates a lot like a wiki, and that's exactly what you're looking at on the screen right now. The Opentoonz help menu. It will probably be available to users either in a nightly build or in the next GitHub release. Now, currently, if you click on any of these links, you'll find that everything is empty, blank, and basically this is a wiki that needs to be filled out. People need to actually type it up. If you'd like to contribute, you can click on the link at the upper right that says Edit on GitHub, and from here, you can click on the pencil icon to the right and start inputting instructions on how to use Opentoonz. To my understanding, it's moderated and everything. There were a number of people that were saying that they were interested in maintaining the documentation of Opentoonz. And a link to the new help menu wiki for Opentoonz will be in the video description below. However, I'm really not quite done talking about the help menu. What you're looking at on the screen right now is a user guide for Toonz Harlequin. Toonz Harlequin is an outdated version of Toonz. Toonz is the commercial version of Opentoonz, and has something like a 90% similarity to Opentoonz. So this guide can actually be really useful to people that are just trying to figure the program out. However, it's a little bit outdated, and it's a fairly crappy translation into English. Oftentimes, I find myself rereading and rereading sections and wondering why I'm not understanding what I'm reading. And it's just because the translation is kind of shoddy, to be honest. So a link to where you can download the Toonz Harlequin guide will be supplied also in the video description below. But what's being suggested for the Opentoonz help menu is that users can just copy and paste sections of the guide into the Opentoonz help menu. And then you, as the community, can go ahead and improve the wording and keep it up to date and etc. Now, I'm too busy with my job and working on my blog in order to fill anything out here. So getting easy to access help is all up to you, the community. Help is available, and all you need to do is edit it and keep it up to date. And I actually do suggest that the community get on this immediately, because it's only a matter of time until Opentoonz becomes a differently fleshed out piece of software, and very little can be gleaned by this Toonz Harlequin guide. It's better to have a rough foundation right now and edit it accordingly to the Opentoonz design now, rather than waiting for when it's too late. Very little resemblance from Opentoonz to Toonz Harlequin, an outdated version of Toonz, and we're basically, if we start at that point, trying to get this thing fleshed out and getting this help menu to actually be of any help to anyone, if we wait that long, you're just going to have to rely upon what possibly a limited understanding of the program and just typing it up from scratch, and that's very difficult to do. So again, I suggest everyone try to get on this, and that's just a suggestion, not a demand, but I think it's a pretty wise suggestion. Next on the news, inside of the Opentoonz Discord chat, Metit Animata said the following.
Hello everybody, I'm Frank Bianco. I run an animation studio in Rome since 1996. We've always used Toonz for traditional and paperless animation. Now I'm switching to Opentoonz. I'm also in a good relationship with Digital Video, the creators of Toonz. They are in Rome too. Thanks to all for your work. I hope to be helpful with my know-how.
So I find this interesting to me primarily because professional animators in the industry are currently migrating to Opentoonz. I'm a little late in reporting this, but look at this headline here, which reads, Mary and the Witch's Flower was made with free Opentoonz animation software. Now, the title is a little bit misleading because the primary bulk of this cartoon was animated with Toonz, but there are some special effects from Opentoonz Opentoonz' effects schematic that was used in the production of this commercial production. And I found this relevant because this is only the beginning in terms of Opentoonz being used in commercial production. If you'd like to read this article, feel free to click the link in the video description below. As I've discussed in a number of videos, I've been in talks with those working in the Marevna project. I've been trying to get solid vector fills in Opentoonz so that people can actually color their vector animations without it being a complete and total nightmare where you're pulling your hair out and you go bald prematurely. Now, everything that you're going to see and hear about this topic is going to be a little bit up in the air because right now we're just bouncing ideas off one another. This is what he had to say.
I have made some additional investigation about the vector system of Opentoonz. So, first of all, you can scratch everything that I put in 2 presentations attached to my previous letter. This is impossible to implement with the current system without breaking existing stuff, which is already used by many people. So I understand that you want to have this work exactly the same as the system that exists for Adobe Flash.
Now let me stop there. I don't necessarily want it to work exactly like Flash. I just want it to work in a way that people are somewhat familiar with.
The more I'm thinking about this, I am getting convinced that it is best to achieve that by implementing a new type of level, an additional one to the existing ones, such as Toonz Vector, Toonz Raster, and Scan levels. This new level will behave in the same way as it behaves in Flash, or VPaint as well. In other words, it works in merged drawing mode. It allows you to use the blob brush, and the strokes made with the blob brush are merged automatically if they're painted with the same style or color. This type of layer is basically called a planar maps vector system, the same system used by VPaint. I wanted to call this level type Flash Vector Level, but at second thought, I think it's better to call it VPaint Vector Level to avoid any sort of confrontation from Adobe.
So here's a graphic that demonstrates what we've been hoping to make with these VPaint Vector levels and what they'll be able to accomplish, hopefully. Again, this is all just us bouncing ideas off one another. We want open strokes with a fill and a closed stroke with a fill. We want you to be able to do both without it being a complete and total nightmare. We want to be able to make it so that you can create a fill and make it so that it's separate from the stroke so that the fill and the stroke can be moved independent of one another. And we want to be able to recompose the stroke and fill with other objects. And in the graphic, we can see the stroke, its fill, and a third fill introduced into the mix. We also want to be able to find a way to link the fill and stroke at the end user's choice. We want to have an unlink shapes command to make it so that the fill shape is independent. Now, I'm not going to read the part of the conversation where we discussed this last bit here, where you can toggle between merge drawing mode and object drawing mode. Adobe Flash has these 2 features, but they don't have a toggle to switch between the 2 on a whim. And I wanted to see if it was possible if we could toggle between the 2 with variously different objects, just be able to just toggle through either one anytime that we want. But the problem with this idea is that it's destructive editing. We hope to be able to actually get that into the final product, but you won't want to do it too often, to be able to go from object drawing mode to merged drawing mode. Just do it in moderation. Now, the paintbrush tool. Now, earlier he was calling it the blob brush, okay? But this is something that I've been talking about all the way through. The paintbrush tool will work the same way that it works in Adobe Flash or Adobe Animate. And as you can see, we're thinking about giving this paintbrush tool some pressure sensitivity. So basically, with this, you're going to have 2 different types of brushes. One that draws out nothing but strokes, and the other brush will draw out fills. As you can see, we're thinking of giving this paintbrush tool some pressure sensitivity. For this brush, there will be a number of toggles that will allow you to draw in front of already drawn objects, and a toggle to draw behind previously drawn objects and shapes. There will be a toggle as well that will allow you to select an object and draw in front of the selected object, and a toggle so that you can go ahead and draw behind the selected object as well. We're also talking about making it so that if you draw out a shape with the paintbrush tool and then use the same style and fill in the area that shares the same space with the shape that you drew with the paintbrush tool, the two objects will automatically merge into the same solitary object. Again, all of the information I've shown and discussed about the solid fills in Opentoonz is not necessarily a reflection of the final project. Of course, none of this will happen at all if no one donates to this when we're done bouncing ideas off one another. And that's exactly what I've shown you. This is the Mrevna guys and I bouncing ideas off one another and seeing how much it'll cost, seeing if it's even possible. And really, what I'm showing you is just what I am hoping to accomplish with the Solid Fills project. And now, back to my bounty source page for my bounty on us getting the Crit-alike Assistant tool for Opentoonz. And as you can also see, we currently have 3 backers right now, and I'm obviously the biggest backer at this point with 2 $50 donations and a $10 donation as well. If you guys are interested in contributing to this and making a donation, just click right here. It's a minimum of a $5 donation, and every little bit helps. And it quite frankly instills confidence in this project. So please show your support. You're not obligated, but you won't get this feature unless the $700 quota is met. And also you can see that Denim 2 times has dropped out as a potential developer. I'm not really quite sure why. He never even introduced himself, never talked to me at all, like I requested. On another note, JP Turcottle has a thread that proposes community-driven issue prioritization, where he says the following.
I've been thinking for a while about a way to let the community vote on the issues they want prioritized, and I just remembered Bounty Source lets you thumbs up issues, so I went on a thumbing spree, referencing a list I had previously made for myself, then saw that Turtletooth and the Mrevna people had made something similar on GitHub. Well, the last thing I want is to interfere with how the developers manage their priorities. We have seen that bounties work, and that people like Orphanlast are good at promoting them.
Thank you. I don't know how successful I am. My bounty isn't doing so hot. I mean, I'm the only guy donating to it, but I do get a lot of eyes on it. My news videos are my most viewed videos. So I guess in that sense, yes, I guess I'm good at promoting them. A lot of eyes get drawn towards my news videos.
If everybody put thumbs up on Bounty Source, it would be easier to know what efforts the community sees as worthy or in need of funding. For example, going through the issues and feature requests.
And I think that this is a fairly interesting idea. I do, however, feel as though the developers should always have the final say of what gets developed and what doesn't. But yeah, this would be really helpful on GitHub to be able to see the most appreciated ideas on Bounty Source. That would definitely be of use and very helpful. And if you'd like to read the rest of this thread to be able to see what everyone's discussing, if you'd like to go ahead and leave a comment in this thread, a link to it will be in the video description below. Next is another thread by JP Turcottle where he discusses a proposal for OpenFX implementation. Now, since this happens to be one of the last stories that I'm talking about, that doesn't mean that this isn't important. this is important. Basically, OpenFX is an open source protocol for special effects. It is supported by Opentoon's commercial competitors and is the basis for many Academy Award plugins. Not only would it allow us to use those plugins, it would also give us access to Gimmick, different compositing tools such as image tracking, and easier communication between Opentoons and compositors such as Natron, connecting the production and post-production pipelines, which is huge in terms of workflow. Plus, this would bring us in line with the rest of the industry, broadcasting our existence to the very select OpenFX club and giving us access to a new pool of competent developers. I can only see positives. And JP Turcottle and I are totally in agreement with this particular idea here, the implementation of OpenFX. This sounds like a great idea. If you'd like to participate in this thread and leave feedback, read what's been discussed and everything, feel free to click the link in the video description below. Well, that pretty much concludes it for the news for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and if you didn't like it, please like, share, and subscribe anyways.